Okay, so hi, I'm here with Jill Miller, who is in Studio City, California, and we're going to have a short conversation about her upcoming appearance at the Montreal International Symposium of Therapeutic Yoga, which is coming up here in Montreal, October 20th and 21st, and she's going to be here. So hi, Jill.
Hi, Roseanne. It's great to talk to you. Finally, I've
I
been following you for years.
I know, and I've been following you for years too. So what are you going to be doing at Misty this year? What are you going to be sharing with people who come to the event, and what are you going to be focusing on?
Well, the programming work I teach is called Yoga Tune-Up, and my whole thrust is to help people live better in their body. And I focus on what I call the three Ps, which is pain, posture, and performance. The exercises and the moves and the awareness that I teach help people to eradicate pain, improve their posture, and enhance performance, no matter what style of yoga or even what style of movement they prefer. And what we do is we combine yoga, conscious corrective exercise, self-care with my grippy yoga tune-up massage balls, and stress reduction techniques, deep breathing and meditation strategies that help to find and heal body blind spots. Body blind spots are areas of the body that have been overused, underused, misused, or abused. And we all have them. We all have these areas of our body that we literally can't get a sense of. And these areas that we can't get a sense of, I call them body blind spots. So really the body blind spot is an area that you don't propriocept well. And since I'm going to be talking to or teaching yoga therapists and scientists and doctors, I am going to be driving hard that proprioception concept and how we can help our students to awaken their own listening skills, their own tissue listening skills, so that they can make better choices about their position within the context of the yoga that they love.
Right. So proprioception is our body's ability to sense itself in space or feel itself, or what exactly is proprioception?
Excellent definition. Yes, roughly it's the body's sense of itself.
Okay.
So there are touch receptors and different levels of sense receptors in the body stored in different tissues that the brain helps to use to map itself. And I call this the embody map. So, but there are ways that we can get better sense perception and also better motor coordination, motor skills by enhancing our ability to listen to what's going on in tissues. And often what's going on in our tissues sometimes is a little uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And we've been avoiding what's uncomfortable, and by avoiding what's uncomfortable, we actually keep making our pain worse. Right. So people are definitely going to be feeling areas of their body that are creaky, underused, undercontacted, and hopefully bring them back to life.
Are there are there any, are there key body blind spots, or is it different for every person, or is it, what are they? Are there is there six of them or something that are common to all people, or is it
That's
different?
Such a great question, Roseanne. I would say that there probably are some key body blind spots. Mm-hmm. No one's ever asked me that question before, but fundamentally, I would say that our respiratory pattern, knowing our respiratory tissues really, really well, is a place that I often focus very intensely, because the innermost breathing muscles are also muscles of posture.
Right. Yeah.
Our innermost breathing muscles are also muscles that have a very, very quick trigger to the nervous system. Mm-hmm. So I would say that for most people, the respiratory muscles are a general body blind spot. And then beyond that, the other five key ones, they aren't. It's just different for everybody.
Okay.
Because your pain is so personal, and there's so many reasons why we have body blind spots, or why we're overusing certain tissues versus others.
Interesting. Yeah, I just find it so fascinating, because I have a lot of pain, and my kind of epicenter is my lower back, and it's so I'm always just really curious to know or at least understand my own blind spots. So I just find that really interesting. And my understanding is that you kind of developed your approach after many years of studying movement and yoga and the body and stuff. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your background and what your studies entailed and how it all came together.
Well, I started when I was 11. I lived off the grid in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in a solar community, and we didn't have good TV reception. So my mother brought home the Jane Fonda workout video and the Raquel Welch yoga video, and I was the reader. I was the chubby kid. I was not active at all. My sister was the athlete, and she brought those videos home, and it lit me up. They changed my life. And then I found a teacher. I was living in Santa Fe, and there's lots of yoga teachers in Santa Fe, even back in the early 80s, which is when I was there. And so I found a yoga teacher there, and then I just kept pursuing yoga studies, dance and movement studies, and also massage studies. I found myself during college working at the Omega Institute of Holistic Studies in Rhinebeck, New York, and it was there that I met my mentor. His name is Glenn Black. And he's a phenomenal hands-on therapist in a style called body tuning. He's also a yogi extraordinaire. He's a bit of a recluse, and you won't hear about him much, although if you read William Broad's book and you read that famous New York Times article, you probably read all about him. But he really took me under his wing, and I didn't know I was being under wing took. And at the time, and I just have studied his methods. I've worked with him intensely for the last 2 decades, and I'm very, very happy to be able to call him my mentor. There are many other schools and massage and anatomical studies that I've pursued on my own. I try to annually do a cadaver lab with Gil Headley, who's an incredible anatomical maverick and an avatar of consciousness around the human body and the structures of the human body. So that's another thread that I incorporate into my work. Also very intrigued by fascia sciences, and recently actually presented in Canada in Vancouver at the Fascia Congress, presented a case study around pain and connective tissue.
Which is amazing that exists. That there's like a fascia gathering.
It does, because it's all over you. I mean, you can't have it without all the things that connect together.
Yeah. And my understanding is that like awareness of fascia has really only kind of come up in the past few years, right? It's kind of been this mystery for a long time, and there's kind of been this increasing dialogue and research and attempts to understand it.
Yeah, well, the research congresses only started 6 years ago. There have been 3, and the fourth one will be in Orlando in 2.5 years from now. But yeah, it's like, the rectus abdominis has its own PR firm. The biceps has their own PR firm. Totally. But, superficial fascia and deep fascia, they just don't get the street cred. So it's up to teachers and researchers and people who are interested in moving the knowledge forward to be able to talk to people like you, people in the media, and speak about it in a way that helps people to connect the dots in their own systems, in their own bodies.
Yeah, and how does your work connect fitness and yoga and massage and pain management? How does your yoga tune-up work kind of bring it all together?
One of the things that I say about every move that I teach, whether I'm teaching people self-massage or I'm teaching people a dynamic shoulder stretch or a spinal bracing technique, every pose you do, every move you do is an assessment pose. Every pose is an assessment pose. I teach people those inner listening skills, and those inner listening skills help, they translate into whatever you do. Because if your shoulder doesn't move well in yoga, it's probably not moving well when you're lifting weights, and it's probably not moving well while you're cooking at the end of a long day. So it's trying to help people see how they're responsible for their own carriage. They're responsible, they're accountable for their poise translated through every activity that they do. So I make them be extremely aware of that.
Sorry. Continue.
And the fitness community has really embraced what I do because I use the language of anatomy. Even yogis, I think that there's a tendency for people to become more proficient in Sanskrit than Latin. And I think in terms of us in the yoga therapy community being able to speak amongst other professionals, we want to make sure that we have a language and a nomenclature that we can agree on. So as I love the mystical language, as much as I love talking about chakras and nadis and whatnot, I err on the side of speaking Latin badly, bad accent, and speaking the language of the body versus esoteric anatomy.
Yeah. Well, that's actually kind of
for the appeal.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's kind of like my final question for you actually is, like your approach and your website and like the videos. Like I've done your videos and they're amazing for like my own sort of like I'm all about the core and lower back strengthening, and I get so much relief from them. But I'm always kind of curious about your approach seems very fitness oriented, and you seem to like fit into that world very well. So in terms of the yoga, what other aspects of the yoga resonate with you, and do you practice and are interested in?
Oh, yoga was my first marriage, and I've been practicing since I was 11 years old. It's interesting that the first two videos were Jane Fonda and Raquel Welch, but I would say I went way off the yoga deep end, more so, and let fitness instruction and the fitness community. I definitely was not a part of it in the beginning, and it's because I realized how destable I had become in my joints, how unstabilized I had become in every single joint in my body, that I started to crawl my way back and do some resistance training, incorporate heart strengthening exercises, plyometric type of movements, and realized how my health was actually very, very imbalanced. Going overboard with meditation, going overboard with loosening up my body had very, very negative consequences. And so I'm able to help yoga people who maybe lost some integrity in their tissues in terms of being able to hold your body together, to do it in a way that makes them feel like I'm not taking away their practice, and that I'm, believe me, I throw down some pretty esoteric yoga speak and yoga nidras and meditations and pranayamas, because that's my background. I mean, it's decades of study that I've done with my teacher and on my own. So that is being able to access the downregulatory states and the parasympathetic is yoga's gift in terms of we're looking at the physical health model. We need that for recovery, for restoration. Right. On the other hand, having the ability to pull things, push things, and stabilize your body, or be able to activate without, and having the strength in your heart and your lungs to be able to do things, you need to challenge the body in many different ways. And it's not yoga. Right, yeah. Your mindset is still quiet. Your mindset is still listening. Your mindset is still witnessing. So I don't really actually distinguish. I don't know. Fitness, yes, there are fitness conferences that I teach at. There's yoga conferences, there's yoga therapy conferences, there's research conferences. So there's different places that I get to go amongst and in between. Just because, in 1 month I'm featured in Yoga Journal and Shape, in the very same month, it doesn't mean I'm less to one or less to the other. I hope that people understand.
Well, thank you so much, Jill, for taking the time to talk to me. And I'll see you in Montreal at the conference.
Yeah, we're going to have some croissant and some latte.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. And poutine if you're feeling brave.
Yeah.